Hi, and welcome back. My name is Clinton.
I'm Kate. So, if you haven't joined us before, we are a couple who are going on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we wanted to share a little bit of that process with you. And today we're going to be talking about the financial side of things and how we were able to retire at 55-ish, and just some of the cost of the mission and some things that we did in the past to get ourselves ready.
Yeah, just a little background about ourselves. We're the typical family. I don't know if there really is such thing as typical, but we had debt, which makes us typical. We had a mortgage, we had car payments, we had visa payments, we had a lot of payments. But we didn't do anything for a while until we came across Dave Ramsey. And that really set us on what I consider to be the right track and gave us an idea of what it is that we want to do. And his famous line is, live like no one else so you can live like no one else. Basically, you may have to struggle a little now, but then later on you'll be able to, live like no one else because they'll be still struggling.
Well, and we had 5 kids, as we mentioned in our first video, and so I was a stay-at-home mom for the whole time that they were growing up, and we lived on one income. So when Clinton says that we were the typical American family, it's true. We struggled month to month, and we didn't have a huge savings, and so we find ourselves very lucky at this time that we can do what we're doing. And as Clinton said, there was a couple things that really started us off on kind of thinking a little bit differently than what we had been doing. And one was that Dave Ramsey. And it's just kind of our personality. We like to do things in a little different, maybe a fun way. We got the videos for Dave Ramsey, and we invited about 4 other couples over to our house once a week to watch the videos with us. And we had never seen them ourselves, so we were doing it at the same time. And there was a couple who came to that weekly meeting with us. And probably a year or 2 later after those meetings, I saw her unexpectedly, and she came up to me and said, "Hey, I just really want to thank you for having those meetings because my husband and I paid our house off." And I was just kind of shocked because it really wasn't that long after we had had those meetings. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, we have been doing Dave Ramsey, but have we really been doing Dave Ramsey? And then there was something else that really set us off on this path too. And that was that stake meeting that we went to, a talk from our stake president.
Our stake president gave us a talk back in 2015, and he basically told everyone that you needed to be debt-free. You had 3 years?
5 years.
5 years to become debt-free. And obviously everybody's mouths in the congregation dropped. But it was one of those things. Kate was more enthused than I was when it first was said, but she said we can do it. So we started figuring out how we can do it. Some of the things that we did was we would sell homes. We had some spec homes, but we would buy and sell homes. And we were moving around left, right, and center.
Well, at the time, so that was in 2015, and he didn't just come out and say, "Hey, by the way, like, get out of debt." I mean, it was something that he, I think, struggled to even say himself. He knew that it sounded a little crazy and different, but he really felt inspired to say that to everybody in the congregation. And when we left, we did kind of say, okay, this is a big challenge. And at the time, we had rented out the house that we owned, and we were in a rental house, and we had money put down on a piece of land, and we were going to build another house. So in our minds, our retirement plan was having somebody else pay off our original home and then having that as income rent. But after the Dave Ramsey and after our stake president saying get out of debt, we went home that night and said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're going to move back into that house. And so we stayed in our apartment until the people's lease was up and they were getting ready to move out anyway. And we just moved back into that house. And then we lived in that house and decided that we would sell it and downsize as we had children who were moving out and getting married.
Yeah, we
And
sold a lot of stuff. We nearly sold the kids.
Dave Ramsey, sell the
But
kids.
we did that, and lo and behold, it's definitely, you can see the Lord's hand in it. But we came down to being debt free from all our vehicles and our cards and everything else, and the only thing we actually had left was a mortgage, which we were like, all right, there's not a lot left, but we wanted to meet that 5-year commitment. So what we ended up doing is buying a piece of land, and we built a barndominium. So it was basically build via YouTube. But we had a lot of fun. I'm not sure if the kids would say they had a lot of fun, but we got the home done, and we're now living in it, and we are just debt free. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have any other payments except for the government, and it's an amazing. It really has now opened up a lot of opportunities, and going on a mission is one of those opportunities for us.
Yeah, at the time, this was just our thinking outside the box idea. It's not something that everybody would say, okay, we're going to sell our house and build our own house. We didn't have any experience building a house. And like Clinton said, it was one of those things where we just said, this is something that we feel like we could do. And we lived in an RV. Well, we lived in an apartment for a year, and then we lived in an RV for another year. And then we moved into our house. So from the time that we bought the land to when we moved in, it was probably a 3-year process. And we've been living in it for about 2 years now. And Clinton did the majority of the work himself. And like our girls did help us too. So that's why he's talking about our girls didn't really love it that much. But everybody was out of the house by that time. We were empty nesters, so we weren't dragging our kids through this process of living in an RV. But they did come and stand on the roof and pound in some nails and help us out a lot during that process when they could.
Yeah. All right, so let's get down to how the cost of the mission is going to break down for us.
Okay, well, in the first place, just our own personal expenses. So we are younger. We are at a younger age to retire, and we're able to do that because Clinton is in law enforcement. And so with his particular career, he's able to retire earlier and get a pretty good pension. And I got a little pension from my teaching career. So our pensions actually cover all of our monthly costs. And then, of course, one day we'll have Social Security and we have investments. Yeah. So those things cover us personally.
Yeah. And so what about the Hungry Mission? What does that break down for us?
Yeah, so if you look on the website for the church, they will give all the different missions that are available and how much they cost. And so for the Budapest Hungry Mission that we're going to, it costs just a little bit more than $3,000 a month. There's about $1,000 a month for housing, approximately $300 for the car and gas, and they estimate about $1,000 a month for food and other expenses. Now, like in full disclosure, when we're here living in our home, we're not paying $1,000 for food and all of our personal expenses. I'm sure that we pay more than that with everything that we're doing. But if you think about being on a mission, we're not going to be buying a lot of things. We're not going to be buying furniture. We're not going to be buying extra clothing and things like that. So our expenses are going to be less out on our mission. So that's how much it costs for the mission, but there are cheaper options out there.
And the medical?
Yeah, the medical is included, in that. So it's $730, I think, for the both of us for health insurance costs. And so if you also look on the missionary website, the cheapest mission out there right now is $1,830. One of those is Ghana, Africa, and then there's several Philippine missions. And that includes that health insurance.
Yeah.
So it's very, very affordable.
Yeah. So hopefully some of the key points for us, the key points were getting out of debt. And I think it's probably the biggest one, because getting out of debt just opens up so many different options for you.
Yeah, and knowing your basic budget, like you have to know what you're spending every month and what you have available. Mm-hmm. So start looking at your budget and decide what really is making my life better, and what am I just spending money on that I don't need to. For instance, like at one point we probably had 6 or 7 different TV subscriptions, and we just said, are we even watching all of these? And so we cut a couple out, and it's not very much money. We probably cut $20 from our budget at that point, but it's just all those little things add up.
Most of the time it's a lot of the little ones,
Mm-hmm.
You've got to, you got to think outside of the box. For us, it was building the bando, and we saved so much money because we were the laborers and stuff. And, I would go to Oregon to get the lumber because it was tax-free and it was cheaper at the time. And actually when I was getting a lot of the lumber, it was during COVID, so the prices were higher than what they normally were or would be.
Yeah.
So their home actually cost us a little bit more because of COVID, but we were able to find some workarounds on a lot of things. And so, there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, it's also important to just research finances. There was a time where we knew nothing about finances at all. We just hoped that one day we'd be able to retire. We didn't know anything about where that retirement money was going to come from. We were both just putting money into our investments through our work funds and through the 401s or 457s or whatever. And we one time met with a financial advisor, and he had talked to us and said, you're on track. But we really knew nothing. So it's important to research that. We know much more now. Research things like FIRE, which is Financial Independence Retire Early. And there's a whole community out there about that, and how you can live on 4% of your investments for really an indefinite amount of time, at least 30 years or more. So that's a really good one to research. And there's another one called the Rule of 55, where if you retire in the year that you turn 55, a lot of investments will not charge you that extra tax penalty to take out money early. But again, that's something that you should research or talk to a financial advisor about. But there are ways to retire before you're 62 or 65 and not get taxed a big penalty.
I'm just going to agree because it's Kate that's been doing all the
I'm the researcher.
research.
Yes, we've talked about that.
So she'll tell you, don't let the norm put you in the box. So basically, you don't have to go with like the status quo and how people normally do things. There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of healthcare options out there. What are they called?
The Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, there's Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
There's other ones. There's, a lot of different groups have gotten together to make healthcare a lot more affordable because they bundle stuff better, and they have such a big following of people, a bunch of individuals involved in it now.
Yeah, so just don't think that you cannot retire because you're not 65 and you can't get Medicaid or Medicare or whatever it is that you get when you're 65. So don't let that be the thing that stops you. There are other options out there.
I was going to think of this, what I was thinking of, co-ops and stuff. So
co-ops, yeah, there's some like Christian healthcare ministries and all kinds of different things. So something to look into anyway. Yeah,
so I think out of all this, it's, if you want it, and if you really want it, pray about it, and you do what you can, and the Lord will definitely do what he can. And before you know it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, we are doing it, because I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to go on a mission, but we didn't know we were going to go on a mission when we were 55. So all these things that we've been doing. 54. Okay, when you actually, well, I guess, dang it, he will turn 55 while we're in the MTC. Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, okay, he likes to brag that he's a year younger than me. Anyway, but the point is that you can do it. So you just need to think outside the box and think about what works for your family. It could be that you're going to rent your house out while you go on a mission. It could be that you're going to downsize your house. We always have a fallback option. If this is not working for us, we can come back off of our mission and get part-time jobs if we wanted to until we get Social Security. But
Yeah, right now,
We won't
actually,
have
we're
to do
just
that.
down to a one-car family. We haven't been a one-car family in a long, long time, but it's the only vehicle we have left, and I'm not even sure if we'll sell that or just leave it here. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. But anyway, we really appreciate you joining us, and we hope that these videos that we're doing are helping you in your thoughts and your decisions as you're thinking about going on a mission. I know that we're really excited about our mission coming up, and we just hope that this helps somebody out there.
Well, thank you for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe.